but couldn't make it. So that's why we had the camera. Although our meeting is only in person, it's not being offered online as well. So, Steph, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so first, thank y'all for coming. We have talked about S.P.A.R.K for right about a year, so I'm very excited that we are actually able to get this going and taking this off. So thank you for coming tonight for the information session. Do just a couple of introductions so you know who we all are, and then we'll just kind of go through the presentation. Please ask questions. Please ask as many questions as you have. We want to make sure that everybody has a clear understanding of kind of what the expectation is of this program. And just to make sure that everybody understands kind of the commitment that's going to come along with this. So we have Christy. Y'all probably remember her. She was here before me. So she's actually going to help with facilitating this program this year, as this is our inaugural year here at Easton Park. I'm Tiffany. I'm the executive director for Easton Park. We have Paul. Everybody knows Paul. And then Angie, she is our newest member of the team. If y'all were with Town Hall, y'all know that we've introduced her, but she is our community operations manager. So you're going to see the four of us at every single one of these. We're going to be a part of this and kind of guide you through this whole entire program. And if you're not able, for whatever reason, to make the commitment this year, this is an ongoing program. So please know that take all the information, make a decision, and if you feel as though this is not something you can do, please continue to stay involved in it, ask all the questions, and then we can continue on with your interest further on down the road if this isn't what you're able to do this year.
Yeah, we understand. We've already got the calendar of dates selected, and we know that that's not going to be a fit for everyone's work schedule or just their lifestyle. So, as Tiffany was saying, if you determine this isn't the year, this is class one that we're making the selection for. Class two will happen in 2024, class three, 2025, and so on. The idea is that the S.P.A.R.K program lives on in Easton Park and becomes part of its legacy as we're building our basically a group of ambassadors within the community that hold the information regarding the plan and the vision for the community and can carry that torch forward and helping to educate and inform others as positions within the community become available and whatnot. So as we move forward with explaining the program, we'll talk more about, how the genesis of this, how it came to be, the selection criteria for those that are going to be participating in the course, that commitment requirement, and then what it looks like going forward as a S.P.A.R.K alumni. And then also we'll take a little bit of a deep dive into the what the curriculum looks like for this year as well.
So we're going to you're going to hear from both of us. So sorry. We'll probably
be back and forth on things.
So S.P.A.R.K, I'm not going to read through all of this, but it is, it stands for synergy, people, awareness, relationship, and knowing. And what this really means by the S.P.A.R.K program is this gives you a chance to make connections, build those relationships, and be a leader in the community. As you'll kind of see once we go through the curriculum of some of the topics and the projects that we're going to go through this is going to give you the opportunity to sit with the development team, with the leadership team here with Cohere, as well as Easton Park. And really is going to help you kind of understand what community is like and how you're going to be able to understand that vision of what it is for Easton Park. So again, you're going to hear S.P.A.R.K. We talk a lot about that. And that's all we're really going to kind of talk about. We originally had talked about this as a leadership program, and it is, but we really want this to be more about just the igniting everything inside the community, the vision, the empowerment, the relationships, all of that stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, and with that, our course participants are going to learn about that community vision so that you can carry it forward. That's the kind of knowledge that will sustain Easton Park. Because if our residents are informed of all of the sausage making behind what brought this community to be and the brand, the voice, everything behind it, then you'll be prepared to take leadership positions in the community or continue in the leadership positions that you're already in. We keep using the word leadership. That's not just future board seats or committee seats. That's being a leader just amongst your neighbors in positions that you hold today, no matter what that is. It's just being empowered with that information so that whenever you hear news that's happening within the community, you can be part of that voice that helps to explain that or have that insider knowledge and understanding of really what that means. And as y'all know, y'all probably have come to the town halls and you know that we are just scratching the surface and we try to answer as many questions as we can. Brookfield, our development partner, tries to answer as many questions as they can, but they don't even go surface level deep, really, because you can only do so much. And what we all sat around scratching our heads doing was saying, how can we go deeper with this? And realizing that really it takes a smaller group of folks, one class at a time, to empower with that knowledge, so that you can have that deeper understanding. So class 1 is going to consist of up to 25 individuals. We are holding monthly sessions, and we do have a calendar we're going to go over in just a little bit. We're going to take that deep dive into our individual and collective values as a group and how that plays a role into the sustainability of Easton Park, and the vision here. So we cover topics pertaining to community operations, governance, community leadership, and we're going to begin. We've already started taking applications, and like I said, hopefully you're using tonight to gauge whether you'd like to continue forward and make that commitment with us for this year. If we could go to the, as I talk through these points, then you'll see. So we've got some primary objectives here to go over. It is to deepen your understanding and appreciation for this vision, and to inspire greater participation and leadership in the community and to strengthen those bonds amongst you. So we hope to, in this program, educate and inform you guys on a variety of topics that impact the community and our contingent of contingency of knowledge. Grow that contingency of knowledge and engage you guys as community ambassadors and provide an enriching experience for you guys to meet, connect, and form very lasting friendships. So, what we have done is develop a customized program for Easton Park, but Cohere actually does this program in other communities as well. And as y'all know, as Tiffany reminded you, I was actually in her seat before her, and I moved on to a vice president role where I support all of Texas and Colorado now. So I've gotten to see this program roll out in communities that are now kicking off class 9 this year, and been able to visit with those community leaders and talk about the evolution of the class itself and what it brought to the community and to those participating specifically. And as you're going to take away from tonight, the broad subjects that we cover are about the community, but they're also about yourself and kind of taking you on a journey of self-discovery, and refreshing the leadership within yourself, so that we make sure that we're just hitting the nail from all sides, right? And some of those community leaders that had participated in the courses before, when I asked them, it's been 7 years and now you're back to help kick off class 8 as it was at the beginning of 2022, what has stuck with you along the way? And I had some folks say, a couple of the gentlemen said, this helped me in my career because it were those things that we discovered in the class itself, some of those topics that helped me to align my thinking or reset the mindset in my personal life or my career. Those groups, they've formed special bonds amongst themselves. They carry forward as a class and they attend certain conversations. They're called to the table to help problem solve with the developer and with the community life team. They continue with that bond and they still cultivate those relationships and they come back. You guys will come back year over year and do the same with the next class. You'll almost act, not almost, you will act as mentors for the classes that come behind you. So a little bit more just on that in just a moment. Some of our session themes include, like I said, leadership from within, that personal responsibility of how one shows up as a leader and that commitment to personal development. Uniting the community and energizing neighborhoods. The primary objective of S.P.A.R.K is to help build those relationships within your neighborhoods and to serve as community life ambassadors. Also with that is civic engagement and participation in leadership in the greater community activities and initiatives. So one of the things that we want our participants to do is not just show up for the S.P.A.R.K class, but then also throughout the year, make sure that we're actively participating in the town halls. Coming to some of our more signature events, even helping to influence and shape what those look like and help to execute those. Or perhaps this class is going to come up with some new initiatives that feel should be important to the community and start even new traditions for us. We want our participants to have the courage to ask questions. Asking for clarification and willingness to engage in a respectful conversation is necessary, and especially in difficult circumstances. So next we'll talk about candidate qualifications. And so the ideal candidates are going to be, of course, Easton Park residents with a vested interest in the community. We'd like to know that this is your home for the foreseeable future, if possible. And then someone who's passionate about Easton Park and its vision and wants to contribute to continuing to build community within this community. Of course, folks that are positive and solutions oriented are always important. We like to say, and this is something that I've told Tiffany about Easton Park, that in my experience, I've worked with a lot of communities in my career, and Easton is unique in that everyone comes to the table with solutions and really good ones at that. So I have to say, we've already got a great community of folks that already do that. Folks that like to have fun, which we know that's why you're here anyway. And then of course, the other things to consider are that we do need you to be able to attend all, if not, 9 out of the 10 sessions that happen this year. And that would help us get to the end, which would be to complete our induction goals. So certainly the first requirement would be to be present for the February kickoff class. And then actively contribute to the class discussions and participate in activities throughout the year. We talked about that a second ago, how there's other opportunities to get in on the signature events and help shape what those look like. And then a predisposition for self-discovery and experience in leadership roles. And that could come through family, work, church, civic opportunities, whatever that looks like. So, Tef, I'll turn it back over to you if you want to talk about more of the expectations here. This is where I'm picking up, is right there.
So this is it is a 10-month program. So, it's starting with this info session and then the kickoff is in February. It's going to end in November. We will take a break in July. That will be the only month that there actually won't be a session itself. But really and truly, from a commitment standpoint, we're going to try to make sure that, so everybody is able to set this on your calendar, and this is where we're hoping from a commitment side, is it's the third Thursday of every month from 6 to 8.
And we will feed you.
Yes.
Because it is dinner time.
We would most likely be done probably in an hour and an hour and a half, but we'd like for everybody to set 2 hours aside in case there's questions, in case we do run over. We don't want to rush through anything during this time.
Right.
And then, expect an additional plus or minus 5 hours per month. That's just going to be from prep assignments. There are going to be some assignments. And then just actively participate in these, in each one of these sessions that we have. Embrace your responsibility as a leader and a community steward. Attend the town halls, ask those questions. Don't be afraid to speak up during those. And then like Christy was saying, our signature events, I'm sure that y'all have heard during our last town hall, the events are growing, year over year. And so the more that we can get your participation in that to help us, we can continue to grow our signature events. Continue those on. And then also just the ongoing involvement, with the community. So this is really just making,
Mostly, sorry to interrupt, but that's mostly in the sense of, like I said, understanding that we'd like to have you back. I view, our next, class 2 of 2024. Class 1 will be part of the selection committee for reviewing applications, helping to put the info session together and communicate that out to residents. So, who better to speak to this program than those that have been through it? And who better to get others excited about it than those who've gained so much from it? So, that's why we've got to do a really good job this year of getting you guys involved and having a very, enriching experience, with some very good, curriculum, so that we can certainly have this program year over year. So, if you don't mind, I'll just take the next. So kind of what you'll learn, it is going to be facilitated by us, as well as some of the other, land and development and marketing, professionals from Brookfield, our board members, and then of course the community life team and myself. Our core sessions are going to focus on personal leadership development, and teamwork and those practical skills. We also have additional activities that are going to focus on community leadership and initiatives and issues that impact Easton Park specifically. Along with this, we will do some extra little things in there, like a vision tour. I think it's important to get this group out and in the community so that we can all experience it together, put eyes on it, and do that with the land team so that we can understand, hey, why was this street named what it is? What's the inspiration behind this? Why is this curb in this place? Or why didn't we make this a lot and put a house here? Those types of things you'll have the ability to have that inside information on and ask questions about as we go through that tour. We talked a little bit about selection criteria already. Just the things that we're looking for as we do go through applications, representation across all areas of Easton Park. And then we do ask that one member of your household participate at a time. And that you be in good standing with Easton Park. That's super simple. Just if you're behind on your dues, we'll ask you to pay attention. We do ask that you attend the kickoff class. That's February 16th is the date for that, which would be the third. Is it Wednesday or Thursday? Thursday, third Thursday of the month. And then, just check your work and your personal schedule to make sure that all dates fit. It is going to be an intimate group, but large enough for some diverse perspectives. Like I said, ideally we're 20 to 25. If we get 28 applications, we're probably going to be a group of 28. So, and we start larger like that because we know life happens throughout the year and we may have some folks that need to bow out, and that's understandable. And then just be a current resident. So next steps beyond tonight is that we ask for all applications to be entered and complete by the 13th, which is Friday of this week. That gives us a short amount of time to be able to review those and then get back to everyone on Tuesday, the 17th. And then our first our first session is Thursday, the 16th at 6 p.m. So we will send you details about that session, and there'll be a little bit of homework for that one. Because our first class is about, and you can go to the slide. The first one is about getting to know you. So in order for us to work very well as a group, we need to understand and know each other better. And so some of the first homework there is just asking you to put some intentional thought and maybe even a few visuals together that help us know you better. So we'll have some details ahead of February 16th to help you understand what that is. March, we start to, you'll see that our topics start a little broad and then they come in to more narrow on certain topics. So in March, we're talking about leadership in Easton Park as it is today and start defining what the different roles and responsibilities are for all the entities that are here today. And that would be Brookfield as our development partner, Cohere as the community life team, and just some of the other players that are at the table. So then April, we start to take a little deeper dive into a big dive into the planning and vision. This was a big one because we're going to have members of Brookfield's land and marketing team here. I think it's very important that we all know the voice that was designed for Easton Park. I mean, there's a real reason why we were attracted to this community to begin with. From the red bench, what does it mean to, some of the quirky signage that we have around. Those things aren't by accident. That's not Tiffany's personality or mine. That's Easton Park's personality, and it was specifically designed for Easton Park. So we want you to know what that is. And I'm sorry, my phone's telling me this. My wife's telling me to stand up right now. So we want you to have that understanding too about what that voice is. Because like I said, having that understanding is what's going to help inform things in the future, like the budget and, future events and the voice for the community and how we can keep that going and keep your investment protected, because that is ultimately why we're all here. So, okay, planning and vision, we talked about that. Around that time, we'll do the vision tour, of course. And then in May, we start talking about the culture here in Easton Park and creating a welcoming community and actually the importance of connected communities. So in our field of work, we've got some real data to share about the benefits of living in connected communities. So we'll start by defining really what that means, and then talk about how that's being carried out here and how we can push that forward and raise the bar even greater on that. And then in June, we've got a little bit of a workshop where we're going to come together for a communications workshop. And, who better than a very in tune group of folks that are ready to put their thoughts and ideas together, but to help us shape some of the communications in the community today. So understanding again what we have today and where we could be. We've got some ideas for some project-based, just projects for this team to work on during the month of June, might even carry over in July. We won't meet as a group in July just because it's summer and folks usually use that time for vacation or travel or just time off. In August, we come back together and we look again at Easton Park and its operations. So we'll take a look at the governance, a little bit on the governance, a lot on the aesthetics of the community itself and how those are facilitated. And then in September, we start turning our focus outside of Easton Park and talk about working together for the greater good and reciprocity and the knitting of Easton Park with the greater community. Class 1 and every class thereafter is going to choose a cause and work with that cause in perpetuity. Maybe it's a project, a drive, or something that you work on once per year and you ask the the community to rally behind you in that project. We don't have any limitations there, but we want this group to identify a cause and hopefully adopt that cause and work with them going forward. And then in October, we're going to talk about putting it all together. What do we do with all this information now? And it could be that this class is inspired to do something with this information. So that's going to be an exciting time. We're going to come up with a leadership commitment that this class is going to make specifically, and then kind of let this class chart how they're going to carry forward with this great stuff. And in November, we graduate. So we'll have our class 1 initiation. This is a time where we're going to celebrate as a group and have some other folks back to celebrate with us. There'll be a class photo. We want to also give everybody an opportunity to have a headshot, a professional headshot made. And there'll be some commemorative items that we have prepared for you and planned for you. And yeah, we just want to, recognize this class as one that's going to help to carry this torch forward. So I think it's an important evening to be able to do that. Invite your anyone from your home you'd like to see come and be part of that and as we celebrate. So hopefully that gives you an eye into what we've got planned for the year. We've done a lot of talking, so I'm going to stop for a moment and see if anybody has any questions. Yes, sir.
First question on November, you mentioned that the meeting's on the third Thursday, that third Thursday in November happens to be a particular day that folks celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yes, that's the one we have rescheduled. Actually, what did we put on November?
I was just making sure, you know.
Yeah, it might be that that is the Thursday before Thanksgiving week. Because Thanksgiving's before Thursday of the month. But here's the thing, once this class gets up and going, if we decide, hey, we need to move that class or that session, we can. Yeah. Because we might have to consider that like in March.
I think we have that for the 16th.
Okay.
Is what it's on.
Being that that's a spring break week,
Flexibility.
Yeah. This class will be calling the shots on a lot of that kind of stuff. Yes, sir.
That's kind of an extension of that, like some of us travel for work and other things. So like, if I'm committed to attending, but let's say like I'm out of town, would I be able to like video in and still be in participation and not miss that month? If, I'm like at a family obligation or traveling for work or something.
Yeah, and we know we're gonna be challenged with that here in Easton Park, because I feel like we've got a lot of folks in the community, even the ones that wanted to be here tonight and they couldn't for work or other things. So I think that we have to be flexible in that sense and do allow for the opportunity to call in, as long as it's not is the exception and not the rule, then I think that we can absolutely be successful with that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Did you have a question? No.
I was just looking at the.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I.
In this case, the fourth instead of the third.
Oh,
Thanksgiving falls okay.
okay, perfect. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Is there any correlation between this and joining the board?
Great question. And the answer is yes and no. So we are years away from electing residents to a board. But our hope is that anyone who's considering candidacy of a board seat or a future committee seat or anything like that has gone through this program and continues to be engaged and involved in this program in years to come. And I'm not saying that you've got to commit to 12 hours, a month for here to eternity, not by any means. But while we don't have today a target for electing board members, we will in the future. And our hope is that anyone who's considering that has been through this. That's the kind of information that we're going through. Not only this type of setting, this type of program, in the future, there will be other training opportunities that take maybe a deeper dive into the financials for the community and what budgeting and those types of things look like. It's really up to us, all of us, to decide what the needs are and identify what those are and build the programming around that. So I hope I answered your question. I have a tendency to trail, but the answer is yes and no. Yes, ma'am.
Back on the question, I do understand it's gonna be a very long time because it's a very long bill. Meeting. But for being in this, like one of the things I feel like we're lacking is representation with the current chart. at least give us a voice or access to them so that, you know, we have a little bit more
Yeah,
involvement with them.
and yes, it does, because, and that's been Brookfield's intent. So just to back up and share you a little bit more about the genesis of bringing a program like this to Easton Park. It was on Brookfield's strategic plan to have this be launched, as well as mine, as well as Tiffany's and Paul's and Angie's. And the reason for that was so that we can call residents to the table to help inform, empower, and have them have a voice in some of those discussions where it's called to be. So it could it be future amenity planning, where they're trying to determine kind of best use of space, or, you know, I don't want to speak for them because I'm not on the development team. But it is their intent to poll and bring back for discussion this group of folks, because you would have that insider knowledge of all things Easton Park. Okay, so you will be much more informed than the typical citizen within the community that hasn't been through this. So your ability to contribute towards those conversations and help the problem solve will be much greater.
And just to kind of piggyback with that, I think a lot of that has to do with because you're gonna have the opportunity every single month to sit in front of not only us, but as well as people from Brookfield.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna be just as engaged in these sessions and some of these topics as you all are, as we are. But you know, it's very hard to be able to get across everything we need to in an hour-long town hall, especially as the community is growing and trying to answer. I mean, I receive about 200 to 250 questions. And so to try to get that into what we can fit in town hall, as well as what we're able to give updates to, which is the other reason why we want everybody to understand the commitment. It's a commitment from you. It's a commitment that the community is making, you know, to you, as well as a commitment from us, and, you know, as well as the Brookfield. Like, you know, like Chris was saying, this was on all of our strategic plan, and I think we're extremely passionate about this because we've been doing this for a very long time, and to have the opportunity to be able to do this with the community is great, because we've been through the developments where, you know, there's not a lot of.
There's not a lot of information sharing.
Yes.
So we're super excited to work with a community and a developer that is willing to share, is willing to bring residents to the table, is willing for them to have a voice. You can imagine in a community as large as Easton Park is and is going to be, that becomes even more challenging. So building this coffer of very well-informed graduates from this program, inductees from this program, helps to identify those that can help problem solve.
So, question. So Brookfield has been doing this for a long time, I hear, right? I mean, you said this is not the first time they're doing the S.P.A.R.K program. There are several communities around, right? And whether it's in Texas.
Cohere does. So this is a Cohere program. Yes, yes.
Since Brookfield is the main architect for lack of a better word, in terms of, they are the architects, but Brookfield is a big builder, right? They have several other projects everywhere. So have they done this kind of program?
So Cohere being their preferred management partner, we work with them in California, Arizona, and then here in Texas, actually in Colorado as well. And we've rolled out this program in Arizona, Brookfield communities, and now we're doing that here in Texas.
How's that going?
Extremely well. Yeah. Yeah, there's several years down the road in our Arizona communities, and we're now to the point in Easton being the age that it is, that we can roll this up here. So it's incredibly successful, amazing relationships formed. It couldn't be better. Yeah, which is why it became a priority for Texas to kick this off.
Yeah, so I kind of have to get backing off that. Maybe could you share with me some of the tangible results that have been created as a result of this program in some of those communities? And then kind of second part to that, what would be some of the results that you'd be looking to create through this program? Like by the end of this year, and then maybe 5 years out, but maybe just starting, but like by the end of this year, like what would success look like as a result of these individuals coming together to form this.
So what's been proven by this program being years down the road in other communities, those folks that have participated have gone on to volunteer for positions within the community, be board members, committee members, et cetera. We've had class inductees that had put together signature events and carry those forward as legacy events within the community. I don't mean just social things, but other types of educational purposes. There's also a big piece of this is the philanthropic opportunity that's here with the adoption of a cause. And that goes on in the program itself. So we've seen that knitting that I was talking about. It helps to just solidify what the community is about. And that's what we really should be doing, is looking outward and how we can be a part of the greater community, not just inward itself. So we've seen that be a big success factor in the other programs that have been rolled out. In helping support the school district and specifically the schools that are within the community. Helping to put together scholarship programs. I can't think of too many more. Those were the things that struck me, that stuck out in my mind. For us, that's the kind of success I expect to see from this program here as well. Is just that. It's one thing for us to hold and have all that knowledge and be your community life team. But if we don't have homeowners that are also part of that and that are also, helping to just strengthen the fabric here, be part of that fabric, then we're just passive homeowners and just coming in and driving up our driveway and rolling down the garage door and going in. And that's not an inspired way of living. But this program allows us to identify an inspired way of living within the community as it was designed today. And so you get to help to design your inspired living, right? Along with understanding what was meant to make us, so that you can marry those two together and carry it forward with your neighbors. Thanks. That's bad.
You want to go? So the way that Easton Park is set up, right? We are one huge community. We're also individual neighborhoods within it. And I feel like there's a little bit of like separation, just based on me, whatever.
Sure.
They're all now, as we're getting older, there's like other rules as well, like these are thank you, and you Park West, right? They have slightly different rules. We're getting to the apartments. They're gonna have different rules, different concerns. How encompassing is this? How much representation from each of the different neighborhoods are you guys trying to get?
All. So Union Park East and Union Park West are all members of the master community, just like Skyline, Nob Hill, Bryant Park, Discovery. And so that's how we view it, is that everyone's a master member. The apartments are not within that. They are out there, part of the commercial developments or they're just outside of the master. So the multifamily will not be participating in this program. This is for Easton Park master community members. And so the curriculum itself does not speak specifically to one neighborhood or the other. When we do the vision tour, we'll go into all sections and we'll talk about their uniqueness and their commonalities or just little tidbits here and there. But we won't get into the rules of one versus the other or anything like that.
More like the things that are gonna be important to Bryant Park, like different from
That's
things that
right.
are important to, Skyline.
Yeah.
Bryant Park's been here since the beginning. And although of course there's a lot of turnover, like people will come and go, right?
Sure.
It's a little bit more established. I think some of our residents are a little older, whereas Skyline is, at least my impression, is like completely new young families. They're gonna want to do things that are different. So that's what I mean, not so much about the role that I thought.
Right, no, I understand, yeah. And it's a good point. That's why part of the application has a place for you to share with us where you live, so that we can make sure that we do have representation across all areas because we want those varying views and perspectives. And you're right, every neighborhood has its own personality, you know? And I've always found that to be incredibly interesting, working with new developments to more mature communities over the course of my career and seeing the personality that communities take on. And it's through developer, it's through that brand voice in the community, it's through the design of the homes, it's all of those little things, and you don't even know, you know, but it's happening subconsciously, you know, when you came to visit the models and you made your selections, or you know, came here and toured homes, those little things that attracted you, you may not realize them yourself today, but you'll probably discover them as we go on. It's like, oh, yeah, I do like that. That is one of the things that I fell in love with, and that was intentional, you know? So yeah, we want representation across all sections.
One of my questions got answered, but thank you. If, cause you said one of the criteria is one per household, like one person per household. If she did class 1, could I do class 2?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and if we aren't full, if we have less than 25 and there's an opportunity for both members of the household to be in it, then we'll consider that as well. Yeah. We had a question.
Yeah, I have a question on your curriculum. I do see the topics right there. I do understand that this is the first year. How developed is your curriculum? Or is it gonna be kind of like, we're gonna do it as we go because it's our first year and hang on tight? Or is this like?
I like that question.
I mean,
It's like, are we winging it as we
Yeah.
go?
We're not thinking it, but like, okay, this is what our intention
Yeah.
is, based on the people that were selected and based on the community and based on the voice at the table.
Yeah.
It might shift a little. So my question basically, is it set in stone, though, we're gonna cover A to Z? Is there flexibility based on the people who are at the table and discussions might diverge the curriculum one way or the other?
Yes, and yes, and yes. And that's just what I love about the program. Yes, the curriculum is set in stone. We have to cover these things. This is our core curriculum. Is the discussion going to take us down some wormholes? Yes. Is that going to help us shape future classes to know, hey, this class showed interest in this area. Let's make sure we build it into the program next year. Yes, that's going to happen as well. What I was able to do by looking at our other programs that we rolled out in other communities was learn from their mistakes. And their first year was very different from year 8, you know, and they learned a lot of things along the way. So I was able to really understand what those things were so that we could refine a program here. This is almost 1 year in the making, just so you see it today. So there's already been a lot of intent behind the topics themselves, the order that they're in, the folks that we're asking them to co-present with us on all of these topics. And it's been a big commitment on our part thus far, and even going forward, we're not just showing up on the night of and just, you know, winging it for the conversation. And I'm glad you asked that question because you want to know that this is going to be good information, right? And prepared information, and it is what I'm saying. So I appreciate that this was a high priority for our Brookfield, our partners there as well, because I filled up their calendar this year with a lot of prep discussion and content building specific to these topics, and they helped us design the curriculum of topics anyway. So they're already.
If someone was not accepted in the program, or was eager to learn, what option would you put that?
Well, to attend the next year. I feel like, where are we today? We had, I think, 19 applications thus far. I think we've got some folks that plan to, put in some additional applications. We want to keep this class what it is and not be, you know, we want to prop them up. to having made the commitment and move forward. And then if that excludes a handful of people, we're gonna find a way to engage those people in the class for the year. If it's, more than that, we'll just have to get creative. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that honestly or today, but, yeah, I have a feeling with this course, it might grow a little bit beyond the 25 if we get a little more than 25 applicants, is my point. So we won't leave, a handful of people behind, that's for sure. But if it's a lot of folks, then we're gonna ask, okay, hey, let's sign up for next year and be ready for that.
So specifically, are you looking for expertise, experience, initiative, specialization? Look, everyone who lives here, most of the professionals are, they are specialized experts in their own field. I mean, project managers, entrepreneurs, all this. So what is the criteria that you're going to lay out to say, listen, I don't want him, I don't want her? I'm sorry, I just threw it in.
It's okay. So just the questions that are answered on the application themselves. What's your interest in joining? Profession is neither really here nor there, because we really do want a sampling from all stations of life, all stations of careers and all walks of life. So really it's just a representation from all different neighborhoods. We're gonna look for fairness amongst that. So if we have, 2 people from Bryant Park and 10 from Skyline, if we can average out across the community so that we have fair representation from all sections, that's gonna be our first priority. We'll make sure everybody's in good standing. We'll make sure that, also what we're looking for are folks that are already engaged in the community. So, if this is your first time coming out to participate and to get an understanding and start to get involved, wonderful. But we want to give first opportunities to those that have already been showing up to things. So that's, I think, one of the questions that we have on the application too, is how involved are you already? Because we want to get those folks informed as quickly as possible. And then, yeah. What else we got? Yeah.
So those that have participated in the class, you said that they become alumni. Are they able to participate in another class, or is it kind of like, no, we really want to just like bring the new people only? How does it work for the years to come?
I view that the graduating or the alum will help to look at the program going forward. And if there's anything that any participants feeling they're missing on, then of course we would inform them then. They come back and they mentor the class behind them. We're gonna be limited by someone's time constraints around that. If we have course participants that want to be here for every session and help be part of that discussion and presentation of information, we would love that. But we wouldn't make that a requirement of you, for any, by any means. But certainly we do anticipate the program's going to evolve because Easton Park is growing, so the program's going to as well. And we want our alum to always have that insider view. So yeah, there'll be opportunities to do exactly that, to come back and still refresh or be informed on the new information, as well as help co-present, be part of the selection committee for future classes, etc. You also get a special name badge. We want you to come to different events, town halls, signature events, whatever it is, and be identified as a S.P.A.R.K member. And so that, if anybody's got a question, they can turn to you and say, hey, what do you know about this? What are they telling me? Is it true? What do you know about this? We want you guys to be identified going forward as being exactly that. And those torchbearers are, having that information and being ambassadors or stewards of the information that's given to you. So Charlotte's going to show it to you. Maybe some other things. I won't tell you everything. Yes, sir.
The name tag have a red bench on it?
Yes, maybe. I don't know. I left the name badge design up to them. It has the nifty little S.P.A.R.K logo that we designed. for sure.
Even better.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So, and I'm sorry if I'm missing this, like, we'll meet once a month for a couple hours, essentially. And then outside of these meetings, what are we planning?
Kind of homework will you have?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we did say about, plus or minus 5 hours or so.
Exactly.
So that could be, what we'll do is equip you with a list of activities that are gonna take place over the course of the year, and you can pick and choose what you would like to engage on or attend, okay? In addition to that, ahead of any of our sessions, we might have an email that's sent to you with like a little video to watch or a TED Talk to watch or something like that to help cue up the conversation for the next session. So that's what I mean by little homework or little thing outside. And like we said, even our town halls today, I think we can all agree, there's room for improvement on those. We would like to engage this group to understand how we can do a better job. What information is most important? We're trying to answer everybody's question, but does everybody's question need to be answered, or should we be focusing in on this right here and then find another way to answer those questions? So it's those types of things that you guys having the experience of living here and participating can help us do a better job of.
One last question.
Okay.
So Cohere has been here for what, like a year or two?
Since 2020.
So they keep changing. So what, are you going to be there next year? Like that, right? I mean, every couple of years, these things.
Well, we hope that that doesn't happen. So what happened was that.
Sorry.
Y'all may have remembered when we were DMV Community Live, our company changed names. So, Cohere has been Cohere for a year, but we're the same folks that have been here since 2020. Prior to that, Brookfield actually managed the association themselves. And so they determined, hey, we're not a community management company, we're a developer. So it's time to outsource that. And Cohere, or DMV Community Life as we were, we already partnered with them in the other states that I mentioned. And so they said, hey guys, we'd like you to come and join us in Texas where we're we're managing Easton Park and Kissington down the street. And so they brought us to Texas. They brought Cohere to Texas. I'm from Texas. We're all from Texas. So that's how Cohere came to be. And we are Brookfield's preferred community management partner, not because we do things Brookfield's way, but because we do things the community way. And our goal and our focus is on the community itself and building connections here. And so being that they've seen our approach to helping to build those community and connections in other communities, that's why they felt that we aligned with Easton Park's vision and goals, and that's why they brought us here. So we don't work for Brookfield, but we partner with them, and we actually work for Easton Park and for you. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask.
That's okay. We'll give you a copy.
You don't have to repeat yourself, but I was just curious if any chance I could review this after.
Yeah, I'll give you my copy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm actually
Do you
gonna,
have some time to, I don't know, to fill me in?
Of course.
Today or later?
yeah.
We recorded this too.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so that, because we had some folks that wanted to come tonight and their schedule wouldn't allow, so we recorded it so that they can make some decisions. Yeah.
Do you mind saying a little bit more about being a community management company?
Yes, so any HOA that's out there has a community management partner that manages the day-to-day operations for the community. Very rarely do you have a community that is called self-managed or that actually employs employees. So we are a company called Cohere, and we are community managers. That's our day job, but our aspirational approach to community management is more centered around the connections and the community building through relationships and these types of programs. So you know, we oversee the financial, the collection of dues, the payment to the vendors. Our team includes a facilities manager that, you know, ensures that the landscaping is always looking good, that the pool is maintained. We have a compliance coordinator that is out doing the inspections for the community, and communicating with residents regarding that, and our architectural, committee, working with them closely. But we are, the company that we work for is called Cohere. And it used to be DNB Community Life, but we went through a rebranding exactly a year ago, for that. So if you've lived in other neighborhoods that have HOAs, and some folks haven't, then you would be familiar with the concept that there's a third-party management company. That's what we are. But there are differentiators in what we do versus what we could say are competitors. I don't consider them competitors because they don't do what we do, but that's part of understanding it. One of the topics is kind of helping y'all understand our approach to community. And actually, I call us community builders, not me.
I mean, I understand where that question's coming from. It is confusing, right? So like, because I know that people want to be involved, or they want to influence like how Easton Park gets shaped. And then a lot of times last year, the response was like, well, do the survey, right? So we had the survey that went out, but not everybody knew, and it wasn't, I don't think people understood like how influential that survey was going to be.
Exactly, yeah.
And I remember you guys saying like we had a very low turnout to that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because I know people have like really great ideas and they want to have some kind of say of like kind of sports equipment and things are going to be, you know, sprinkled in around Easton Park, especially now that it's going to be expanded out. So I hope that this will be the next kind of level to that, where we do get a level of influence and we can speak on behalf of our peers with like what Brookfield is going to do. But I know there's Brookfield and there's you guys and then there's us. So yeah, I'm like kind of right in.
You are. So consider us to be like the facilitator of those things that can happen. Okay, so Brookfield is building this community and we are just facilitating your ability to experience all of that and live here and be a part of the community itself and engage in that community. And we're facilitating the ability to do that along with Brookfield. So they designed it. We're basically breathing, you know, making it happen. Because we've got, you know, our robust event schedule and, you know, all of those other things. We have to maintain this building. Brookfield's not going to do that. Resident volunteers can't be up here doing it, right? So that's why you employ a third-party management company. Speaking to specifically, you know, being able to influence in those things, yes. And but first, we have to understand the whole process that Brookfield or any developer goes through in any of those things that they do as a developer, building amenities, getting through the permitting stages, designing and building the infrastructure for new sections. We are going to go through all of those things. And then it's because you'll have that knowledge as S.P.A.R.K alum that they will be more apt to engage in those conversations. And you brought up a great point about the surveys. It is gut-wrenching for us because we put out, you know, so much information and it becomes kind of like background noise. And that's part of that communications workshop that I mentioned. It's kind of mid-year this year. It's like, we would like to understand from your guys' perspective, what can we do better around that communication or any communication to be more engaging and to have better results in that. One of the issues we have with that survey is that the link is sent by another company that y'all don't know. We really don't know them either. But it has to come from them because they are the analytic, they do all the analytics. And so it has to be a unique link and, you know, all of that. But those are the kind of things we can help troubleshoot too, you know. So. And I want to make sure I do this in order. Was there anybody before I go up here for a question? Okay, I thought I saw another hand. Go ahead.
Okay. So if my memory serves correctly, I think we do have community life ambassadors who are also chosen from a pool of Easton, uh, Easton Park residents. Do you see the S.P.A.R.K program as being a few steps further from the ambassadorship, almost like a reverse directional? Because while an ambassador was carrying out your view to the community, the S.P.A.R.K hopes to
Yeah.
almost have it by them.
So are you speaking to maybe the ambassadors that we have at our front desk up here? We always talk about community life ambassadors. So yes, thank you for help, for suggesting we delineate that. I've said ambassadors, but I'm saying like an ambassador like, not that you'll have the entitled ambassador because it's not your job to have to do that, but we just want you to be empowered with the information so that you can, speak up about whatever the topic is. We do have on staff here ambassadors that work the front desk. Much different from this program. They're helping with Revo Blast and lost and found and our hours and things like that. This program is really more about being stewards of the information, that key holder of information so that you have that understanding, that insider view and understanding.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
It sounds like that would all circle back kind of to tie with previous mentioning and what she mentioned as well. Is that if we are passionate about the community that we have, we're having conversations with our neighbors, we're having a conversation with people on the same park that we live in.
That's right.
Where we have all this information, we can influence people, get them excited about the surveys. And so that would tie it all together. So as having the information,
yes.
not technically ambassadors, but just excited.
Right, exactly. That's it. Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly right.
So we did have an ambassador program, kind of at the beginning of COVID,
Yeah,
where we would all we would get people assigned to us, like new residents.
right.
I would reach out to them and talk to them, and then once a month we would all come here, or do it online, with COVID, and share information. Kind of a little bit like this sounds like to me, but, getting to your point. It's
That's
almost
right.
pushing from a different angle.
Yeah.
Is that program still going?
It's not, and it did die with COVID.
Yeah.
It did, and and it was
Another.
I know, so, yeah. But those are the types of things that this group should help us understand if we're trying to bring something like that or hybrid or something like that back. What are we missing to help engage everyone in this community in various ways or on deeper levels?
I have one more question
Yeah.
about this option.
Please don't.
And it's a little, uncomfortable, maybe awkward, but when you put 25 people in a room together, and especially who actually chair, there's invariably going to be conflict. How do you guys deal with that within this S.P.A.R.K thing and, keep it civil, let everybody hear the voice and keep us as like a group?
Yeah, so one of and thank you for mentioning that, and that can happen in any setting, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we do in the very first class is actually write the rules for our class. And everyone in the class participates in that because we all have to own our participation and our conduct in that participation. So we write the rules for the class and for engagement in these discussions. And then we will moderate and be exactly that. I don't think the curriculum really would spark any type of conflict. There might be varying opinions, but we're going to be respectful of those. But I don't think that it's such that it will actually create division or anything like that. I don't see it. The argument is exactly that. It could be healthy. But we will absolutely adhere to a code of conduct that we're all part of.
Not our people. Our
No.
people are good. No.
We're kind of used to it. We can.
Oh, I'm sure you guys are trained in like how to deal with that. It's on our side.
She's like, how are you gonna do with that?
First mentioned that, Very thankful for everyone's input and their questions, very insightful, extremely helpful. My question, is builder relationships. As they are a part of our environment, right? They're building the homes that we do live in. They're not referencing the partner, or how could we engage with them and know maybe some more of their story? Is that possible as well to share throughout this journey of being stewards of the community? The various builds that there are, you know, who they are, how long they've been building, just or have them tell us their story, because they are part of, again, what makes up our neighborhood. They build the homes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are neighbors too here, right? And we have such varying builders that it would be nice to get their story as well, because they're building right here along with us. So I see that as being an activity that we could tack on to one of the topics here, probably around the vision tour and the planning and visioning part. We could gauge the class's interest in that and actually plan an additional activity that would, maybe we take an afternoon and go visit the model homes, and they're prepared to host us and tell us that story, and we can have that little progressive little walk through them. Again, any opportunity that gets us out, so to be hands-on, eyes-on, I think is more beneficial than just being in the sprint. So I think that would be a great addition. Another thing, I think I mentioned this before, but maybe I didn't, was that as we were going through this curriculum, and we were like, oh, but we should talk about this, and oh, we should talk about that. And it's like, we can only go so deep. So we were thinking what in addition we could offer. And it was like, okay, well, we just need an HOA 101 class so that we could talk about, you know, compliance and, you know, the financials and the budget, and have give y'all a better understanding. We used to do an orientation, and we kind of evolved that into the Explorer's Day. But with that, we kind of lost a little bit of here's how to navigate the website, and here's where your financials are saved. So not saying we have to go that elementary with it, but it might be too that we identify, hey, we need to also be educating on this piece as well, you know, and it'll be in addition to this. Again, not wanting to stretch anyone too thin, we wouldn't throw additional requirements on you, but it'd be an additional offering. And if not this year, this quarter, or whatever, then in a future, you know, time. Anybody have anything else? And y'all have some good questions. Yes.
You think about the alumni in year 1, 2, 3, we're heading into year 4. How does the curriculum change to continue to serve those alumni so we become better knowledge? I know still we're in development stage, but is there something along those lines that would become more? I mean, actually, just never mind, because that's something that would.
It does evolve over time, and because as the community evolves, there's more to learn, right? And so you would have given the opportunity to stay engaged on a deeper level than just our town halls or whatever it is. And like I said, come back year over year. So that's gonna organically happen anyway. But in addition, I kind of see where you're going. We want to keep the additional classes engaged and not just dangling the carrot of come hear about this section of the neighborhood that's coming on. Because that's not.
If you're 8, you're 9, what are they seeing? As far as
They're inspired to keep coming back through that philanthropic approach. For some, it's the philanthropic. For some, it's continuing to refresh on their self-leadership. For some, it is learning about development, future sections or areas of development, or a new project, or, you know, something like that. So it depends on the individual, but I think that there is enough that'll keep varying interest engaged and wanting to come back. Yeah.
I'm live. Easton Park, the last I remember it was doing 1,000 community by the time we're done. Yeah. 10,025, they said. It, like, how does that
Our communities, so we only work with master plan communities where we have the opportunity, to build the community builders like we are here. Our communities range from about 4,500 homes to our biggest one right now is gonna be around 12,000. So, yeah, you're up there, it's certainly, yes. And actually, and that's inclusive, that 10,000 number is inclusive of like all the multifamily units and, all of those. So as far as single family homes, like what you live in today, what's the number? Closer to like 8,000,
Yeah, it'll be about 9,000 by the time we take,
which is ginormous.
yeah, that's
Yes.
removing condo and multifamily out.
Right, so do you find that having meetings 4,500, you still have the same 25-person crew as a community of 1,000 homes? And you find that you have to expand or separate, or I'm just kind of curious about the organization as you grow.
I don't think it's necessarily about the class size as.
I like to plan.
I don't think it's as much as the class size when it comes to the community itself. I think it's what is available to hold the number of people to
Yeah.
have those classes. So, I mean, if this continues to grow year over year and we're expanding and going to 30 or 35, if we've got that interest in the community,
And this
we're
space.
in the space, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. So one of the communities that is, the one that I mentioned is going into class 9 this next year. Their meeting space is small and they can only accommodate for like 12 to 14 people. So they've been chipping away at it, and that's their program. But, they've got a long waiting list, for residents to be in it because of it's well-developed and everybody knows exactly what it is. And those inductees into the program do a great job of being very present, engaged, and they're propped up as leaders of the community. So everybody wants to be part of it.
The question, how many dwellings does this 14-person cohort support? And is there any sort of a correlation between how big a community is and the number of people? So this class 9 has got how many dwellings in the community?
There are about 4,500 today.
Oh,
Yes, yeah. So, it's not a one-size-fits-all program either. Was able to look at their programming in detail and take from it just the framework of what we need, and then custom designed it to fit Easton Park specifically. So, we're not we're not copying someone else's work, but at the same time, we're able to learn from their mistakes and from the evolution of their program, what to do, what not to do kind of thing, and roll this out from that, which is incredibly helpful. And I tell you, it was difficult. It was really difficult because just knowing the type of interest that we would get, knowing that it was on everybody's strategic plans and, for the last 2 years, we had to make sure that what we roll out was incredibly meaningful and not a waste of anyone's time. And that's where we've landed today. If you think of any other questions beyond tonight, that's perfectly fine. Y'all know how to reach Tiffany for sure. If you've got any old emails from me, you know how to reach me. My number's on the website too, though. And those are our cell phone numbers. So you can reach out, and catch us directly. So, hope to get your application by Friday, and then we'll be contacting y'all next week.
Make sure that you've signed in. And make sure it's got your information, and I will actually send the link out to this recording, just so y'all will have it, as well as the link to the application, so y'all don't have to go dig in for it. I'll send that out.